while I'm reporting crimes that are non-reported, it may appear to some males that I'm somehow going against them. That's not really true, so let me report some of the crimes that are being done to men. If a mother has access, if a father's a good father and pays his child support, and something changes within the economy and all of his paycheck ends up going to his ex-wife, then she has all of the money and the father has none. If a good father is out there and wants to support those children and does give the mother money that she can afford to go into court, guess what I've witnessed? Lots and lots of mothers that just say, "Oh, my ex can afford to pay more. I need more money. I need more expensive clothes. My kids need the best of everything, so and the father should pay." So they do take these fathers to court on a regular basis. These fathers who are trying to earn a living kind of lose their jobs because they can't be in court all of the time by their ex-wives taking them to court nonstop, nickel and diming them to death. So then we have this cute little dynamics that goes on. Why do you see more men homeless? Probably a lot of this is the reason. Probably causes a lot of drug addictions and alcoholism because it's driving them all insane. And guess what? Drugs and alcohol are painkillers. So if you happen to see anybody that's dealing with a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction, chances are there's a crime that's not being reported or a crime that's not being enforced. Somebody is driving them crazy, and chances are it's a manipulation of the court system. And what women do? Well, women have tits and ass. They can use tits and ass to land a man for their money. They don't necessarily have to love the man, they just need to feed their kids. So what do? They'll latch on to any man they can possibly get. So you won't necessarily see that many homeless women. It's also, you can actually pay the rent if the children live with you if you collect welfare. Fathers that don't have custody of their children will not get enough money to survive on a welfare system, so that's why fathers are more homeless than mothers. A mother's need to feed their kids, they're in survival mode. It's not like I'm on a hate for women. It's, we definitely do not pay women what they're worth. More jobs out there are higher paying for men. So women definitely are in a survival mode. So while we can be critical of women, there's definitely a good cause as to why they're behaving in this way. And if you have generation after generation doing that, men are starting to recognize that they're just being, conned into marrying women because of their money that they make. They want to be good people, but they're being taken advantage by women's needs to survive. Our whole system is completely fucked. And it's not about, oh, crime is going up because we're not reporting it. There is no place to report these types of crimes. We do not, for the most part, it is the breakup of the family. And it is our justice system. I am definitely not suggesting that my husband go to jail for all the crimes that he's committing. Somehow he has been lacking the ability to be accountable and responsible. Somehow he's living his life through a lack of love in his experience, and he needs to look after him at all costs, provide that happy feeling with the money that he can buy more expensive stuff. And when we get on that, our government is more controlled by our corporate world, and our corporate world wants to earn more profits. If one parent ends up having all of the money to buy all of the best, most expensive stuff, they can do so by not supporting their children. So corporate world is really, really happy when one parent it doesn't have to pay their income tax and doesn't have to pay their child support, because you know what they're doing with that money? They're buying more stuff. So the corporate world ends up profiting a lot more. But it's a cost to taxpayers through our social services, because one way or another, kids need to be fed, and it's a struggle for women. I don't agree with how they survive. It's destroying men, but at the same time, I understand what they're doing. And at the same time, I'm very, very compassionate because it's the good fathers that want to be good fathers, that want to support children, that want to believe in laws and justice, who end up getting more harm done to them. I mean, it is so easy to just break off all of visitation. If a mother goes away, I mean, and you're paying your child support, she has the money to go into a court system to say, I don't even want you to visit with your children anymore. And those orders are granted because she has all the money. The father's lost all his money because all the money's going to her. So we're and what does this teach children? Children learn by example. They learn by the environments that they're paying attention to. While all of this is going on, there's an awful lot of anger, there's an awful lot of fear, there's an awful lot of abuse. Children are learning these behaviors, and then they repeat that in their own lives. So generationally, that's why you may get another, other women just go on a welfare system because they see that that's the system that you survive in. They don't even know that they're worth something. They don't even know that they have a full potential. They don't know how to go out in that world and earn a living in a way that can sustain a life in a different way than a social services. You know, kids that, males that are growing up in this environment tend to be abusive towards their wife because they've learned how to be the male image of what abuse is. Kids are also learning how to become addicted to drugs because watching their parents fight and everybody making false accusations and just this war mentality is causing an awful lot of kids to be in an awful lot of pain. So, you know what? When you had this little YouTube discussion, did you kind of notice most of the questions were, why don't you make marijuana legal? And you want to say, no, it's not good for our kids. Yes, happen to agree it's not good for our kids, but we need to start looking at the causes. Our kids are in an awful lot of pain and nobody's doing anything about it. Do they need medication? Well, if we're going to put our kids on Ritalin and any of these pharmaceuticals who are only getting rich by drugging our children and not getting rid of the cause of their pain, marijuana has been known to be a really good antidepressant. It does calm them down an awful lot, and it does tend to inspire them to have really good ideas. They can even learn how to laugh while on marijuana. Is it good? No. But it's still a medication, and it's a better medication than half the drugs that we put our kids on. If you want them to be off medication, off of drugs, not having any addiction, then you have to deal with the causes that are creating the pain in the first place. We don't do anything to support our children. We take away any aspect of fun that's available to them. We take away their parks. Neighbors, if a kid is playing in your neighborhood, there's always going to be some old guy that's trying to kick their kids out of the neighborhood because they're just causing problems. We have no place where our kids can actually go out and have fun. We just give them a computer game and make them sit in front of a computer and say that's fun. We don't have any avenue where these kids can actually go and do something productive in their community. There's no place these kids can go to feel worth, feel value, feel loved, feel accepted. Why isn't the government looking at those types of problems? Because you know what? Crime will definitely go down when you start looking at the causes of all of these problems. You'll start to see more productive Canadians. Kids will be using their minds in a more efficient, productive way. They want to be productive. They want to have a resource that says, hey, I'm valuable. I can create something. I love what I'm doing. But we don't do that as a government. There has never been a government in history that kind of says, maybe we are treating our kids a little wrong. Maybe they're learning how to be criminals and then our only resource is to build jails. No, it's not about building jails. It's about teaching a different way of life. I am not angry with my ex-husband. I understand his mentality. I understand his father before him taught him that he was no good, that he had no value, that he didn't have any sense of responsibility or accountability. My ex-husband just didn't know how to be a good father. So should he be jailed for everybody in society helping him? Because guess what? It is the whole entire society that's telling him what he's doing is right. Because he has a nice little story. We're all perceiving our reality different. And the way he's perceiving his reality makes sense to everybody around him. So he's getting supported by everybody around him. Nobody's looking at the full story. Nobody's looking at the big picture. But the big picture looks completely different if you hear all sides. And if we started looking at this, our deficits will go down. We'd be a more productive country if we started looking at this. Right now, we're not looking at how much it's costing taxpayers for all of the problems that we don't want to face. It's costing Canadians more money to ignore laws, to just your justice system is creating more higher debt to Canadians. And there's no statistics on that because you don't want to face that, because then you'd have to make some changes. I mean, just a dumb shit on welfare that knows nothing. I'm as dumb as a fucking rock on welfare. Remember, I'm lazy and stupid. I don't think so.